Hello 2360 students. So we're going to be looking at Module 3. Now I'm posting a video this week as well about case studies, so make sure you go and watch that. But this is specifically going over what I want you to accomplish. It's just a highlight of things that you need to be paying attention to for this module. So this module, we're really going to be looking at the child's development, right? And the specific disabilities or delays that a child might have or you might encounter. So the first two modules, really we're talking about the monitoring the development through CDC and what was presented and the classifications. Okay, so this is really going to focus on sensory, physical health, learning, behavioral, and this is where we start working on our case study child. And the first one, like I said, is going to be about the disability, and you're going to create a PowerPoint that talks about the disability. So this is what will be due for Module 3, so make sure you go watch the case study video. This is going to be specifically talking about kind of what we're going to be looking at. So you'll see down here, it lists the things you should read. It talks about the links. Make sure you're looking at any links. And then it says what you will submit to Dropbox, which of course is going to be your case study PowerPoint on the child that you choose and their disability, which is due September 24th. And then you have the Module 3 quiz. You do have 2 weeks to complete it. It opens today, and the Module 3 will close on September 24th. So our objectives here is really going to be looking at the different types of needs that a child may have and how they're developing. So if, how are children referred to when we're talking about classroom? Typical, atypical, developmentally delayed, risk, gifted. What do those terms mean? What are some of the causes of specific disabilities? Does anything have to is that disability related or have any correlation to poverty and developmental disabilities in young children? We also look at the categories federally under IDEA and their disability conditions. We look at how their sensory problems and delays might impact the development. We also talk about the effects of the physical and health disabilities and how that impacts them in the classroom. And then we also look at those learning and behavioral disabilities and what impacts they have as well. So we have our outcomes. So this week, this module, we're really looking at what are the recommended practices and elements if you have children in inclusive early childhood programs, and what are the causes, classification, characteristics of certain disabilities, and specifically developmental disabilities. So those are our outcomes. Now, we have some guiding questions for each lesson. Remember, you're completing lesson 3.1 and 3.2. So when you're looking at lesson 3.1 and you're going through the module, I want you to look at what is meant by typical or atypical. What are the causes of developmental disabilities, and what is the role of early childhood educator? How do you monitor the children's development? And what kind of characteristics of young children would you see if they have special gifts or talents? And then in the second lesson, we're really going to be looking at those sensory impairments, okay? And what supports and conditions are going to be there to enhance that child's experience. So those are going to be the questions that are going to guide you through the second lesson. Okay, so for reading, you're going to read chapters 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 in your textbook, Exceptional Child. All of these textbook chapters are really going to align with what we're learning about in these two lessons for Module 3. Here's your vocabulary list and some terms that are prevalent to what we're learning about that you may see in the textbook chapters, or you may see them in our actual content as you're going through. So just make sure that you're aware of these definitions. If you need to look in the content of the textbook, and on the web resource, so you do find these and know what these terms are and how they refer to the conditions or the disabilities or delays in the child. Okay, so if you look here, these terms are maybe not going to be in your text, but you're going to see them in our actual class. So sensory processing disorder, what is that? What is a school health plan? What is dysgraphia? What is prevalence? What is teratogen? What is dysarthria? So these are things that I want you to be familiar with in these terms. Okay, so you're going to start into lesson 3.1. For the sake of time in this video, I'm not going to click on everything, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things. So make sure that you, when you're going through each section of the lesson 3.1, you are relaying back to those questions, right? What is atypical and typical? What is your role in the classroom as an early childhood educator and how you support these students? What is the cause of some of these developmental disabilities? How are these disabilities classified under like IDEA and the law? And then we have to look at those gifted and talented children as well. So that's what you're going to be focusing on, is those key questions I gave you underneath the beginning of our outcomes. Okay, so next is lesson 3.2. Now 3.2 is diving a little bit more into the actual disabilities. So we're going to be looking at sensory impairments and how do you support them in the classroom, physical disabilities or health issues. What kind of supports are for those students? We're going to talk specifically too about learning and behavioral disabilities and the supports put in place for those children. So once you get through 3.1 and 3.2, you're going to see the case study disability PowerPoint. Now I'm not going to click on this and go into this because I made a separate video for that. So please make sure you watch that, you click on it and read it. This is what you're going to be turning into Dropbox. This is part of your case study project, the first one you're going to complete. And then you have your Module 3 quiz, okay? So you'll see it closes on September 24th as well. All right, guys, this is a really good module. I feel like there's a lot of great information, especially the strategies and supports you can use in early childhood classroom, working with children who have special needs or in inclusion preschools, or any kind of educational setting. So I hope you're able to gain a lot of information from this. As you're going through the information, please make sure you refer back to those focusing questions. I feel like that's really going to help you to not only gain a deeper understanding of the disabilities, but also how can I support that child, which is what we want to be able to do. All right, guys, I hope you have a great 2 weeks. Please reach out if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.